Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 22 of the MSU live stream podcast. We're delighted to be joined by DRT Kawasaki owner and manager Steve Dixon tonight. With Matterley just coming up as well, I'm sure many of you got lots of questions for Steve, so jump on the comments and let us know if you get any questions. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Steve.
Yeah, hi, how's it going?
Yeah, very well. So I think we should start with yourself. What made you get into motocross, in the first place? Where did it all begin for you? Because you've been around quite a long time, ever since I can remember.
Yeah, 32 years in GP.
So where did the love come from you to start that?
My sister's boyfriend had a trials bike, a KT250 Kawasaki.
Mm-hmm. That's all right, mate.
Yeah, it's Tom T.
Is it?
Yeah. He said he would do that. It's all right. That's it.
You get them all now, Big Craig and then Steve.
Yeah, I know. So I think I was like 12 or 13. I used to live in Stanmore and Winchester. So then I used to, my sister's boyfriend used to go over the Badgers Farm fields, and I had to go on his KT250. Then I got I think I was 13. I got Lambretta 125 and messed around on that. And then I got a BSA 175 Bushman, and then I did all that up. I welded all the frame and made it into like a trials sort of bike. Used to be always wheeling around the football fields and jumping goalposts and stuff like that. So then I got a CZ 380 and messed around on the fields. I'd never seen a scramble, a motocross then. I was field riding, and then I went to my first race. I think it was the Patch Quick because my auntie lived near there. And my first local race I went to was Osberry, and I saw Graham Noyce and thought, he doesn't look very fast. He was going along the back straight at Osberry, and I thought I can go way faster than that. Anyway, my first race was at Osberry. No, my first race was at I bought a Mako 440 off of a local guy who I used to work with at the railway, Phil Carmichael. We all used to race together, sort of Winchester Club. Then my first race was at Portsmouth Airfield, which is what's that now? That's like North Harbour and all that.
Yeah.
And Gunwharf. What's the other one?
Port Solent.
Port Solent, yeah. So that's where the track was. So then my second race was at Osberry, and then I was in Osberry Club. I raced there, and went down the back straight that I thought was smooth, and I was doing a handstand down there and straight over the bars. It was like well bumpy. Yeah, and then I got into that's how I got into it, and then I was really into the mechanics of it. My dad was was stripping car engines, although he never rode a bike. So I actually had a car, a Triumph Herald at 12. My dad bought me, and I sort of had that in the garden and sort of stripped it and everything like that. So that's how I sort of started, and then then just started with a group of lads in Winchester and joined Winchester Club and started riding. But I was always into the bikes, and that's why I became a welder at British Rail, and then started modifying things and then doing stuff for friends and everything like that. So I used to do all the sort of local guys' bikes and mess around. And then I got offered a job for Mervyn Anstey in 1990. So that's how I started.
Yeah.
I didn't take that job. I took a job with Jeremy Watley as my first job in 1990.
Oh, right. I didn't know that. Yeah. So and then you obviously bridged out from there, got used to what the...
Yeah, so I did my first GPs with Jeremy Watley. Then at the end of that year, I worked for Craig Prattley, and we were winning the British Championship when he was only sort of 17, won the Ken Hall and stuff like that, and then also got third at the British GP. So then he broke his leg, and then I worked for him and the following year I worked for him and Neil Shepherd, who was, local. He was from sort of Gosport, Portsmouth.
Yeah.
And then it was up to him. It was Mailer for Mailing for eight years.
Yeah.
And then
through the Des Nations and things like that through the
like 94 we won the Nations.
Yeah, that was cracking. Yeah. What a great experience that must have been like to guide Mailing through that. That was a cracking team we had there, wasn't it? With them
yeah, I mean the biggest thing for me was that Paul wasn't having a very good year that year. He was on the 250, so I thought, well, the only way that we're getting to the Nations would be to go for 125. And at that time it was Kelly Swanson and sort of Nathan Shelton and those sort of guys that were doing well in the British. So I built a 125, and then we raced Ken Hall. He won that. Raced some other 125 races, and he won those. And then we went up for the trials, which was actually held at, just up the road at Ham Lane.
Yeah.
And Mailer was quicker than Kurt, Robbie, and like Paul Cooper and those guys that were doing sort of the trials. Yeah. So we got onto the team, and then we did all, went and did our trials, and then at the race they sort of guaranteed that we could have Bob Moore's sort of engine, which actually we probably didn't need, because I mean his other bike was sort of quite a bit faster anyway. But the confidence of having Bob Moore's bike together with some of our bits, he rode awesome. So, and that was the start of how resurrected his career, really.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, I remember. I was only young then, but I remember that, watching that. So
yeah,
I think it was one of the best ever, really.
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, I mean, it was unreal. I mean, it's one of those things that goes down in history. So.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously you got the win with Billy Mack. The GP win with Billy there in, I think, was that 2006?
Yeah. What, in
Japan?
Oh yeah. So yeah, we had. Yeah, I think I've taken 8 people to their first GP win.
I tried getting all of them, but I don't know if I did get them all yesterday when I was doing a bit of.
Ryan Jorgensen, Carl Nunn, Mailer on the 125, Andrew McFarland, Dean Ferris, Zach Osborne, Max Anstey.
Yeah, say Anstey.
And well,
that's the only ones I've got, so I need you.
There's one more.
It'll come.
Right, and Billy.
Oh yeah, Billy. Yeah, we didn't say Billy.
Billy. Yeah, so won that, and then I was Nations manager for 2 or 3 years, but I gave that in because they were too tight to pay Dean Wilson's mechanics car hire. So I paid it all, and they said, "Oh, why do you need 2 cars?" I says, "Well, because the rider goes home at 6 o'clock, and the mechanic is working till 11, so you can't wait to expect him." So they didn't have the same opinion for us to win, so that's how I gave that up.
You handed that back. Does that feeling when they're standing at the top, and does that give you that obviously that's what you work for at the end of the day? You put all your hours in and do all the hard work for. Does it make it all worthwhile, or has it just been so much work?
I suppose one of the greatest moments was winning my first GP as a mechanic, which was also Fox Hill. So that was with Mailer, and standing there was awesome. But no, I mean, every day we're motivated. So it's, when you're winning, say like with Max, we won 10 Grand Prix, you sort of get used to it. So then when you're not winning, it feels, and then you do well again, it feels better. You sort of go up the hill and then back down and then up.
Yeah.
I mean, we try, actually racing is only 40 hours of the year. So, you've got 20 Grand Prix of, let's say, an hour. It's actually you're doing this job for 40 hours. So it's important that like every day we have a good day, So Yeah,
40 hours is about 3 days' work for you, isn't it?
Yeah. So the mechanics and everyone here. Well, we only have 2 mechanics. They they enjoy it, and they run themselves, and they have a nice sort of time, the same as I did. When I was my own mechanic, you like to make your own decisions. They're their own bosses. I trust them, and like Jordan's been with me 13 years since he was 15.
Yeah.
Nick's been with me for 14 years. So yeah, a long time for mechanics, because normally they get burnt out. But they've both gone on to get families and children and stuff like that. So I think that's important, and that's and pretty much all of my mechanics have come from Portsmouth Schoolboy Club.
Yeah, because I was good friends with Mikey Whitewick,
Yeah, Mikey was with me 13 years.
Yeah.
Ben, who's gone on to be with Erlins, he was with me 13 years. So
yeah, you get your service out of him. Obviously, a good boss to work for.
Well, yeah, they got used to me. So yeah.
So recently, obviously, with Courtney winning the world women's.
Courtney came into the GPs, and she won her first GP with Josh Coppin's team. So she always had the speed and everything. And for 2 or 3 years, she didn't succeed. She came to us, and I'm pretty good at working out, a strategy, or not so much strategy, or what's good and what's bad, and could have a lot of experience with, far away foreigners. Let's say, Zach, for instance, from America, and also Darian, and from Australia, Andrew McFarlane, Dean Ferris. The first thing I did was allow her to be home 6 months of the year, and then just come here for the races. And I think that was a transformation, and letting her, be herself and be comfortable in what she's doing. And that allowed her to be less pressure, so she didn't feel the pressure at the races, and she was able to just race a race. And we didn't increase her speed, and she's raced a stock bike basically, although it's the next year's bike each time. She's she was always a fantastic rider. We didn't, I didn't bring any sort of benefit to her riding wise. Okay, maybe a stable bike that is always the same, and a strategy for that. But the main thing is working out the bit that was missing, the puzzle that was missing. So that's what we did.
Like you say, she always had the speed. She's always been a really good rider. She was always top 6, wasn't you? Really, or there or thereabouts, but just needed that extra something to push her.
Yeah.
So that must be a great achievement. Obviously working with men a lot all your life, and then.
Yeah. Well, we actually had one of the first girl who is still riding now, which is Tara Geiger. So she used to go out Travis Pastrana, and then also David Knight. Yeah, she's in the X Games and that. She's from Puerto Rico, and she actually raced the Nations for Puerto Rico in 2009. So we've always helped Team Puerto Rico. Back in 2008, when Zach came over, 2009, we raced Donington with Zach, and basically, he wanted to race the Nations, and he was beating some of the Americans like Berry and that. So we got into contact with Puerto Rico and said, look, hey, you can have Zach. So every year we help them, so that's pretty good.
Try and push them through.
Yeah. So they have like an American B team.
Well,
they have to have one Puerto Rican, and normally it's what we call a Gino backflip, and they always just crash the bike and damage it. So but it's a good fun,
Smash it to bits.
Yeah.
So obviously your boys this year, you've got Taylor. Lives just up the road from you, got your office, and you've obviously grown up watching him ride through, the 85s.
I haven't really seen him ride that much. I more know Chrissy Hamill.
Yeah.
Because when he was around when Neil Shepherd was riding, and that sort of era.
He was a good rider as well, wasn't he, his dad?
Yeah, Neil was, and then also Chris was. Yeah, Also, our sponsor Brennmar, who is next door, who sponsor us with our workshop building. They always used to get their, Chris Hamill's granddad and dad. Taylor's granddad, Chris's dad, did a lot of the joinery work for Brennmar next door, and also his cousin works for Brennmar as well. So originally they did ask if we could help them years and years ago when they were on the Yamahas. I think that was for Chrissy, and we were able to do little bits. But then I sort of, it only really came to light when he started to do well against in the MX Nationals. I only looking at the results because we're never here to sort of see the races.
Yeah.
And I saw him a few times, like Finland and that. When they were when Chrissy was taking him to do the sort of 125s and sort of funding it himself, and then also when he rode for on the Kawasaki with Stephen Lenoir and that. So locally.
Oh yeah, what team was? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So
he's down the road, so we should remember it. God.
What is it? Oh, gone off my head.
Sugar.
It'll come to me. Anyway.
Not Paul Gibbs. No.
Does anyone else know? He's wearing a bit of a black.
Yeah. Anyway, Lee Weber bought his truck. But anyway, and then so again, took Taylor. First thing I did was like get him tested. At the university, get full sort of bloods and everything like that.
Dyer and Butler.
That's it. Yeah.
Cheers.
So we got him tested, and found out he was pretty unfit. I mean, he had done well in, not that he wasn't, not that he didn't train, and he'd worked hard with his trainer. There was just one area of his training that he needed to concentrate on, which is like the type 1 training, and he's worked damned hard on that, like really boring. And he's, when everyone was down Spain, he only really just started riding after lockdown, because I think we went out 3 times and Jordan got stopped by the police at Yeovil, up at Doncaster Way, and at Ashdown. So we didn't ride. And we didn't go to Spain or anything because I said, as long as he isn't right to the end of December, you need to concentrate on base fitness. You'll never ever get this time to do base fitness again. So concentrated on that, and still we've got 20 Grand Prix to go. It's June, and it seems like the season's been, it almost seems like lockdown when we were allowed to ride, which was the end of March, seemed a long time ago. But actually, we still got 20 Grand Prix to go till the end of, till 5th of December. So, we need him sort of, reaching a peak in sort of August, September, because I think in October, we've got like 8 races. September to October, we have 8 races in a row.
Yeah, it's a busy schedule.
From now to December, we have like 1 weekend off. So, rest is key. And, but he listens a lot, and I think that first race at Cullum, that his first British Championship race with us at Cullum, showed that he was it improved a lot. His riding and everything, and what Rob Hooper did with him on the Yamaha and everything, he'd done a fantastic job to get him to the level to get him noticed by us. But it was just the ability to sort of train when he needs to train, as a full-time professional. He was doing part-time gardening and stuff like that. Now he just has to go riding, and that's it. Well, I say just that he's up at 6, 7 o'clock training every day, doing his cycling and before breakfast, and but he only has to concentrate on that, and that's a big thing. But he got himself to that level where we can take him to the next level.
Yeah. So, like you say, he performed really well at Cullum a couple of weeks ago, didn't he?
Yeah.
What was it, 3-4? I think he went, didn't he? So
4-3, yeah.
4-3, yeah. So.
And that was the second race. those sort of 3 broke away in the last few laps, so that was really good. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, he's got another 3 years in MX2, so hopefully he can sort of achieve some good results in the GPs with us.
What's your aim for him in the GPs? Have you given him a bit of a target to?
Well, this year or future?
Yeah, this year for this season. What
Well,
would
I
you
mean,
like
this
for
year,
him
I
to?
mean, it's about, obviously, you always go out there to try and win, and that's why we go racing. But realistically, he needs to improve on his time qualification. That's key. Well, it's even more key now because you don't have a qualifying race. He's more of a racer than a qualifying lap fast one, because now for this year you've got the one day format because there's 20 races almost in a row, and if he gets a good start, then he can run there, and I think he can run top tens. I think he's a smooth rider, and I think that will get him through the season, and end up with a pretty good result, and then from there we'll sort of have a win to build on, because he's got his base fitness. Then he needs to up his level of fitness a bit more. Can't do all that in 1 year. So he'll know the score, he'll know what to do, and he's got good support. His family is sort of 100% behind him, and we've got we're able to provide him with an okay wage and pay all his costs, and we've got some sort of local sponsors that have already sponsored him, and some local people that sponsor us.
Yeah, it's a dream for him.
I know Craig Daffin keeps saying he's going to put in some money, but we're still waiting to see it.
He got short arms and deep pockets, that one.
Yeah, no, but he's all right at pulling the throttle for a whole shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, no, I mean it's good. It's really good because it's easy. Half the battle, when you take a rider on, especially like say from abroad or from anywhere, is that you've got to then house them, you've got to then babysit them. With Taylor, it's the benefit is that he can go home 5 minutes away. He's got his family looking after him, which is important. That's just for things like the gym, the food, an atmosphere away from racing. That's all important to have. To come to the races fresh. But if you're, let's say I've never been one to want to be in Belgium. I think you go stale. I know that's the epicenter of motocross, but it doesn't have to be. We've had results, many good results without going to Belgium. And we've been in Belgium, we have a mechanic in Belgium who has a house and that over there, and he's George, an old guy. He's really good, but you need to be, and that's the same with Zach. Zach used to sort of go home to America for 6 months, come back just before the season, and that, that keeps them fresh.
Yeah.
So, that's, they're just kids really. They've never been a professional. They come out of schoolboys, they come out into sort of a bit of adult racing, and then suddenly one day they're an amateur, and next day you're a professional. But you haven't changed, you haven't learned anything. It's not like you've gone to school and done an apprenticeship or anything.
Yeah, so the travel is going to be a big thing, I guess. You're travelling to all these, you got to switch on, switch off,
Yeah, but I mean, Taylor will have his own private jet, so he'll be okay.
Have a Cosworth engine in it.
Yeah, I think they call it. He's named it Ryanair, so he's all right. He's all right. Yeah,
good.
Travel's all right.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
Yeah,
we'll all be behind him, all local lads. So
yeah, definitely.
Moving on to Wilson, Todd. No, I don't know too much about Wilson, but
when you do.
No. How come he's just gone in for his arm pump surgery now? What was that? Is that something that?
So he wanted it last year. So originally, when I signed Wilson, it was in 2000 and end of 2019. He was 2 times Australian champion.
Yeah.
But then end of 19, he had to go back and finish his contract, which was part of Supercross. So okay. He went back after like the Nations. He come and watched the Nations. Went back to do his Supercross, and he was doing well. And then got out of shape. Suspension was a little bit soft over a whoop, and he split his pelvis. So that's basically splitting your legs apart. So he came to us, really injured. When I got him tested, he was having trouble with his knee and everything. And so we didn't get good time on the bike. We weren't able to sort of set him up with the bike. There was, we were on the back foot because we had to wait for the injury. And then straight into Matterley, it was, we were on the back foot. And then the next race was Valkenswaard. He got knocked off. He got knocked off on the start, and then someone went straight into him and ripped all his finger apart. He had surgery straight away that night, and then it found out that it wasn't, it wasn't a success. We got it done here by Dr. David Warwick the following week, and he sort of basically saved his finger because it was like, it was sort of completely split all here. And then it was COVID. He tried to get the arm pump up surgery done then. They weren't doing any sort of surgeries in Australia. Tried to come back early to do it here. They weren't doing any surgeries before the hospitals were handed over to from the NHS back to private on April the 1st. And then from April the 1st, it was a backlog of all the, prioritized sort of surgeries. Obviously Wilson's was selective surgery, so that it was something that is not life-threatening, doesn't need doing. And then on Friday, basically we got a call that there was a cancellation, and went straight down to Winchester to Sarum Road. I mean, luckily, I know from Zach Day, I know this surgeon, Dr. David Warwick, is professor, and he's really good with hands. So I'd been sort of, liaising with him, and we went for a consultancy about arm pump, because at Cullum, he got arm pump up in the first race. Did he? And then second race, it's gone, and then he can go well. So we can't afford, without a Saturday race in GPs, we can't afford to sort of miss the first race and blow it. So, this opportunity came up, and we said, well, do we go for it or not? So we said, yeah, let's go for it. And, the picture was always Taylor sort of concentrate on the British and do all the GPs, but primarily if for Russia at the moment, Russia and Fox Hill's on, so Wilson will go to Russia, and Taylor will stay and do the British.
Oh, okay.
Because it's you still need to sort of grow your roots, and the British is a stepping stone, and it helps you gain confidence into the GPs. So I mean that's so we're hopeful that Wilson will be back for Canada Heights.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you what the recovery time was. So you think it'd be back?
Yeah, I mean it's
what's that? The 4th of June, isn't it? Canada Heights.
6th. Yeah.
6th of June. 6th of June. Yeah. So the recovery's not super long. That's 3 weeks away, isn't it?
Yeah. So, but and I mean he's it's been good with him and Wilson practicing with Taylor, and Taylor's normally like 1 second wherever we go. He's like a second behind. Even in qualifying at Cullum, he's a second behind. So it's weird, but corner speed is where Wilson's just a fraction better than Taylor, so it's good for Taylor to have someone to chase. And we've done all our own stuff, all the local tracks, been sort of Tinkleton and Ashdown, and just places like that, PCE down in Winchester, just keeping it local. And then so we didn't know where we were at. Obviously we did the Osbury race, that was his first race. We didn't know where we were at sort of going into into Cullum, so it was quite good to see them both up there.
Yeah, no, it must have been great for you to see them both up there.
Yeah. I mean, I like doing the British. It's pretty relaxed. I mean, we probably take it, too relaxed. We basically left here in the morning, got up there at 10 to 8, chucked the 2 little 3-meter easy ups, scrutineered, 20 past 8, and then went to the practice at 9. And yeah, and that's, but for our guys, for me, for Jordan and Nick and that, we have 20 races to do.
Yeah, you've got a big schedule ahead of you. Yeah.
Our priority is the GPs, and the British is fun. It's we don't sort of get paid to do it. It's just we do it because we like doing it, and if the rider wants to do it, we'll do it. If they don't, they don't. I mean, Darian didn't want to do it, and we sort of asked him to do it, and then he got injured at Cullum. It's different when we had Max doing it, and he wanted to do it, and he was winning every week. It's good fun, but it's if the rider don't want to do it, and he doesn't have that passion to do it because he's not British, then it's difficult to get him to do it.
Yeah.
That's where
what do you think of the no prize money this year from the British? We've got Gareth on next week, actually. So
well, I mean, there's prize money at Ling, isn't there? So,
is there?
Yeah, I mean, they did say originally there would be prize money every one that Gareth promoted, but then there wasn't at Cullum. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, the riders need prize money, and it's not the GPs. It won't work without prize money. It's still the British, so
they're the best in our country, really. Still, aren't they? They're the elite of our country.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Sort of Taylor earns a wage, but it's different if they get that bit of prize money. I mean, I'm cool with it at GP level that we don't get prize money because I've been there when there was prize money, and there's more money around now for GP riders than there was back then. I mean, people say I support Ustream or In Front now because I do a GP. It's not. We finished second in the world, and I was working from a single garage in Itchen Avenue in Eastleigh, Fair Oak, and we had nothing. In 1990, I was a GP mechanic for Watley, who was 4th in the world the year before, and I got my van. There was, I had a lilo to sleep in. There's no toilet, no cooking. I had to sleep in with the spares. That's how it was. That's how I got brought up. So now there's obviously less people doing it, but they're doing it at a higher level. So pretty much, if you're doing GPs, okay, you're getting, most are getting a wage, most are sort of getting help, most get sponsorship because they're doing GPs, whether it be a camper or a van or whatever. Go back to when I started in sort of 1990 and that, the likes of Neil Shepherd and that, they were good, but the manufacturers relied on their fathers to sort of provide a van, provide a mechanic, provide the fuel money. And they got 400 quid start money, and there was a bit of prize money, but it was nothing to the sacrifices the families were making, not at all. No. So now it's a lot. There's not less team because you've got all the EMX 125s and all the EMX 250s. I mean, what I do think is that EMX 250 is way, way, way too professional.
Yeah.
I mean, their setups and everything are sort of, they're at MX2 level and above. You got like last year Ben Stang and everything like that. Their setups are. There should
it's factory standard, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So that's not the true spirit of what EMX is meant to do. EMX is meant to bring a breeding ground. So you don't have a breeding ground with an Arctic truck, and it's not fair if say like there's too much peer pressure and money spent on the trucks and everything compared to the rider sort of getting some wages or getting some advice to say not be out of work but to spend that time on training, so then you miss those few years. And that's I think that's just a little bit wrong.
I'm quite passionate about youth racing, and it's something I would love to do in the future, is do something with youth. And I think they need to take the steps and not just go from, some kids are really lucky and turn up with all these lovely when if you've got the money to do it, then fair enough. But like you say, the MX is a stepping stone, not a.
Well, I mean, at the British Championship, I'm not just saying this because I love fast bikes and doing a lot. We raced, so basically, because it's a new model, the KX, we've done quite a lot of development with Cosworth. But because of COVID and that, manufacturing, getting parts made, rods, valves, and all that sort of stuff, it's taken a long time. We won't get that stuff till just before, hopefully, everything before the British GP. That's how it is, it's a new model and it's difficult. So we took a decision to spend more time with the riders and just take the standard bike, put a EBR pipe on it and a vortex ignition. And we went racing, and Wilson, whole shot, he won the race, and he won it fair and square. So that, and the same for Taylor, and that's just sort of shows, how far you can go with just, without spending a huge amount of money, for the parents. Yeah, because you always think the other person's got way more, and this, that, and the other. Anyone could have come up and bought that bike. Okay, it had WP suspension, and that's because we're sponsored by WP, and it's good suspension, but it's available as well. So I mean, it's
there's nothing on that bike you couldn't have bought, sort of thing, yourself.
No. I mean, obviously we make all the bolts and stuff like that, but that's neither here nor there. And but the decision was to spend more time, like I say, out with the riders, making them feel comfortable, rather than sort of go there with one special bike. Because that's, it's difficult when you get a model change. We had that that's actually why I left Yamaha. I was with Yamaha for 25 years, and I also raced Yamaha before that. And Cosworth told us it would take 5 months before, we got the 14 model as good as the 13 model. 13 model was the one like Ferris, sort of whole shot at the Nations and stuff like that. So they said we could race with the 13 bike at the beginning of 14. So we did that. We came away with 3 podiums at the first 3 GPs, and the factory team, which was Rinaldi back then, and Kamea, they all broke down. And then we came back from the 3 GPs, and then they said we need to race the 14 bike. So we had to develop at the track, and we were forever breaking down stupid little things that, that wouldn't show up only under racing, or, because of lack of development. And that was really hard. I mean, it nearly killed us, literally, because when we had an electrics guy, Josh, and he was driving, and he fell asleep. We were asleep. Jordan was asleep. The next thing, we hit the lamppost and wrote the car off. And Jordan just woke up, and as we got hit, and I quickly woke up and just missed the lamppost. And I mean, that was all because they pushed us to try to do that bike. And then and still they didn't win that year until we carried on developing. And then Max won Lommel. And on the Friday, they offered me a deal for 2015, and it wasn't brilliant. And I said, well, that's not very good. I've been with Yamaha for like 25 years. Then I said to her, then Max won, and they came back and offered me a lot more, 3 times the amount. And I said, no, like, you've already shown your colours. I mean, like, we told you at the beginning of the year that this project, unlike Rinaldi, we got the bike in sort of September, October, and that, they had it 6 months beforehand because they were the factory team. So, and we were the first to take a win with it as well. So, I mean, Cosworth were right in how long it would take to develop. And then that's why we're not pushing it now, because, we know there's going to be a transaction between, you can't keep using old technology. F&H are using their 19 at top end, but, at some stage you need to make that sort of move.
That transaction across the
and that's what we got to do. It's a bit easier in America because you've got fuel. I mean, if you use high compression and use their fuel over there, you can get like 4 more horsepower. So it's a lot different. That's the difference. But I think we just sort of have the experience now to say, right, okay, let's do this one stage at a time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, hopefully it's all going well then. It sounds
yeah.
like you're getting there with it, so hopefully we're ready for the GPs and
Yeah, no, here we go.
we're ready to rock.
And then
So,
see everyone at Matterley.
yeah, I was going to say that's the final, my points I've got. Obviously, Matterley's great for all of us. What extra workload, and do you even enjoy it?
Oh yeah, no, I love it. I mean, all of my job and all of Matterley and everything I love doing, and it just gets like a few days. It's just the financial side of it, And,
Yeah.
I'm just, I was just a welder, then a mechanic, and then, I own this, but it's all, it's through sponsorship and not, I don't have money as such like to back, to be able to front things. So I have to sort of, what comes in tickets, I have to put back out, and and that's the biggest stress. That's that, that's really is hard, and like, and when you get unknown things, like rain and wind and all sorts of stuff like that.
We've had that in the last few years.
I know. Yeah, I mean, one day it will sort of right itself. Hopefully this year. I mean, it's ticket sales have been really good, but obviously we're only allowed 4,000 at the moment. So we pretty much sold out within 1 week, and then what we decided to do was sort of keep like 100 per week until the GP, because we're obviously praying that that on June 21st they release that we're allowed to sort of
sell
more tickets.
So. Yeah.
But if they don't, and it's 50-50 because of this Indian variant, then we are right on the level, because basically half the money goes towards Ustream for the rights to have it, and then we have lots of people help out, sort of doing deals, helping out with transport or this, that, and the other, and volunteers and everything, and try and get as many deals as I can for sort of plant and negotiate good deals, and but it is really it's it's by the wire all the time. But then that's why, let's say when it was at Isle of Wight with Rob Bradley, he didn't pay. The other Isle of Wight didn't pay. Donington didn't pay. Nor did one time at Mallory. So the whole reason I started doing the GP was not because I wanted to. I've never ever dreamed about doing anything like this. It was every year I used to get a big tent at Fox Hills, and I'd have like 300 guests for like Bike It and all those guys, and that one meeting would secure my sponsorship for the whole year. They'd have a good bill. They'd come along, they'd bring their guests. So then back in the sort of early 2000, it got cancelled, and it was going to be here. Then it got cancelled. Then someone else was going to run it. That got cancelled, and then so then we were running out of venues. Then Isle of Wight happened, and then that stopped again. So in 2005, I ran Matchams with. I got the contract for that, and I ran Matchams with the leaseholder then, Kevin Hoare, and then that sort of got scuppered. So then we found we were going to run the Nations. We got speaking to Giuseppe, who was going to run the Nations, and then we were going to run it at Farley, and then we went to Erne with everything advertised, and then saw Erne was like absolutely huge because the previous year was Zolder and
I went to Zolder that year.
Zolder was 2003 and Leerop was 2004. Yeah. And then they were okay, sort of 8,000 or whatever. Then we got to Erne, it was like Jesus Christ, all these campers. And it would have just killed Farley. It would have been the death of Farley because they didn't have the fields that they used to have when we used to go and watch. We all remember sort of being there watching Thorpe and all that, and we thought, this is going to ruin Farley. They'll lose it, and I didn't want that on my head. So then, I'd always looked at the Matterley Bowl where they have the festival, and thought, it'd be awesome to go there. And I knocked on the door of Peveril, and he said you couldn't go there. And then he showed me the place which is there. It was just 2 trees, and as they say, the rest is history. And then obviously the Nations was mental, and we got pretty much banned for 5 years. I nearly got put inside because there was so much carnage, but it was you'd never expected sort of 60,000 people to turn up. It became so successful, and then it just went. There was £100,000 in road cleaning bills, £70,000 in riot police.
Was there really?
£100,000 in rubbish clearing. 10 kilometres of fencing damaged.
Oh God!
This went on,
And that's what people don't see the side. They all think they're having a laugh, but someone's got to pick that bill up at the end of the day, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. Every toilet, that gets blown over, crushed, set on light. Jordan Booker and his brother. Pictures of him in toilet setting a light. Looks great. Yeah, but that's 400 quid.
Yeah.
Down the drain for me.
I think last time there was a moped in one of them, wasn't there?
Well, that was him. Yeah, that was Jordan Brookins. Not that I'm naming and shaming, but then there was a British Championship rider one year, drunk, in the car park, and then he got banned for 12 months because actually went, even the car parks, once it's a public event, all of the little roads, the tracks, even the car parks are actually public.
Oh, okay.
And you can get offences. You can get done for no insurance. And he got done for 12 months.
Oh, right.
So, and he was a British Championship rider at the time.
Mm.
And, but in general, motocrossers are rowdy, end of,
Yeah.
But, like the farmer said to me today, I went up there and he said, like, last 2 years, we're trying to grow those trees, and all the little stakes every year they keep going, and they must go for firewood, but it means someone's got to go out and put them, and it just needs a little bit more respect,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
If they want some firewood, ring up event control and say, hey, I need some firewood. It's and they leave a caravan. Every caravan cost me 500 quid to get taken away. They're not easy to take away. And
I suppose it's even tougher this year with the limit on the tickets. The budgets are a lot tighter for you.
Yeah, so the only way to make it work was, we put the tickets up to £75, and normally for the weekend they're 65 for the weekend, but we normally do the early birds. We couldn't do any of that because obviously it was only sort of 6 to 8 weeks that we got. It's just basically a week before the May the 17th. So it's May the sort of 11th that we got the nod that there's not going to be that the 4,000 restriction will come into place, and that we'll be able to sort of sell tickets. So, we had to sort of try and work out. We didn't want to hit. We didn't want to hit anyone, but we kept under 10s free and under 16s. So 15 and under is sort of 15 quid for the weekend. And then
so cheap, really, isn't it? It's so cheap.
And then the adults are 75. Cheap. So still, if a family of, let's say, 2 adults, two kids under 15, and a kid under 13, it's still sort of 180 quid, which for 2 days and camping. I mean,
I just think that's so cheap still. I do.
I look to take my son, to a skate park in, in Cornwall, and then I looked at the hotels, and it was like, oh my God, absolutely horrendous. And so now what I'm faced with, I ring up, the normal companies like Feel Space, I want a cabin. No, there's absolutely no cabins.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Somewhere else, no cabins. They're all out at COVID centres, tower lights, COVID centres, or pubs, building sites for social distances, schools. So it's a real struggle at the moment just to get, stuff. Medical, last year 9 grand, this year 15 grand.
Yeah.
For no reason. Yeah, well, whatever reason, COVID. But it's
COVID tax.
It's not easy. I mean, it's I'm confident in which is why I answer anyone on internet or anything. That if they came and sat here with me and told me how they could make it cheaper, then I'm all ears. Because when you start saying to them, oh well, there's 34 tons of rubbish each year, and armchairs, everything like that, and and it's you get like 4 tons in a roll on roll off, and then you've got to pay £150, and transport's the killer. Get 2 cabins brought in, and it's 600 quid each way and stuff like that. And they don't see any of that.
Is there anything we can help with, like trying to promote throughout the sport?
If there's anyone wants to chuck $1 million. No, I mean, anyone with any services, they can offer it as a competitive price. Marquees or generators or stuff like that. We'll look at it, but I mean,
we could always write to Guy Nickel. He does a lot of stuff, doesn't he? True.
Yeah, I I've had stuff from Guy, but at the end of the day, they still have to charge and they still have to have transport. So, I mean,
you're not asking for it for free, are you? You're not saying I want it for free. But
even if you got plant for free, the transport is so expensive. So you're better off using like we do. I mean, we get sort of deals through some of our sponsors like Orchard Homes or people like that, and they'll get stuff on their account, and like Hampshire Plant, they'll provide stuff. And because they're only down the road, it might be a bit more expensive than say getting it for free, but they might say, oh, you can have it for free, but you've got to pay the transport from Wales or whatever. It's the transport that's the killer. So but no, I mean, we're pretty good with all our sort of suppliers and that. But
it's just must be so hard with 4,000 tickets. Doesn't really even get close to covering it, really.
No, I mean, and the only good thing is that you know what money you're working with, and you know what crowd you're working with. Whereas before you might only sell, the British sort of tendency is to sort of, decide on the week before the GP. So you're basically trying to operate, holding off making a deal with a supplier, because as soon as you make a deal, you've got to pay 50%. Then then you've got to pay another 50% 2 weeks beforehand, but you get 70% of your money on the week of the event, because that's when all the ticket sales come. So no one in events operates 30 days afterwards, because it's such a volatile thing, volatile sort of business. So you think of all the festivals and everything that sort of go bust and everything.
Yeah,
and then Matterley is hard to work with. It's fantastic because you can, and the reason I chose Matterley was because chalk drains all the time, really good. The only thing with chalk is that you have a lot of flints. So we took all the soil off, and then sieved all the dirt, took all the flints out, upgraded all the sort of tracks, and then we then put all the soil back again, and then it will run in any weather. You've seen all the different weather.
Yeah, I've been up there in every weather. I think I've experienced every weather.
And the biggest thing in something of that scale is for it not to get cancelled. And even like the Formula One racing got cancelled, MotoGP because of the rain, because of the car parks and stuff like that. But Matterley is so free draining, and you can always sort of park downhill. We've got the hard stand in for the big lorries, so that's we've got all the underground water in, and we've got all the underground internet. So it's getting better every year, and easier every year.
Wow, I'm looking forward to it. I've got my tickets, so I'm happy.
Yeah.
It'd be great. But well, appreciate your time today.
No worries.
Best of luck for the GPs. If there is anything we can help with, just drop me a message and I can spray it across our little social media that we got. And
car parkers, volunteer car parkers on Friday and Saturday. That's what we want.
Is it? Oh, I'll try and find you some.
Yeah.
See if we can get you some. I'll post it. I've got a small little following, so
yeah. I mean, we got so many locals like Bob Hewson, Neil Hewson, and Kev Royal and Jason Ford. They do the start gate, and I mean, it is still like, I think I was on the committee at Winchester when I was 16, and it still feels like, that the Winchester Club, or that when I was in East AMCA Club. I went to Osbury the other day with, when we was with Taylor, and that was my club, and it was still good seeing sort of Norman Emery and Phil Carmichael and all those sort of guys, and it's all good, yeah. Good, it's a good community around here of motocross. Definitely, that's good.
Yeah, it is a good. Everyone sort of knows everyone around here, looks out for everyone. Yeah. And if I need anything done, it's usually someone from the motocross world who helps me out. Right, to be honest, it's usually them who put their hand up and say, "Yeah, I'll help."
Yeah. So.
Well, right, appreciate your time.
I got through the whole episode without Daffin and Tom T annoying me. And now they've just turned up outside and they can't get in, so I locked the door and I hid behind the computer.
Oh, thanks, mate.
They're probably just watching in there now.
Yeah, bastards, them two. You should put them on car park duty, I think.
I think Daffin's probably just come over. It's beeping this on. Daffin's probably come over to give the $2,000 that he promised at the last podcast that I did. But
yeah. I'm sure he's got it in his pocket for you, mate.
Yeah, he got me to shout out the Starglade, so that's gone up to 3,000 because I got Starglade in there.
Yeah,
and I know he's laughing in there. I can see his head laughing in his little Vito with Tom. So.
I'll let you crack on then.
All right, then.
I say all the best, and we'll see you up at Matterley in a month and a bit's time.
Yeah, I think I'll be there before then. But yeah, all right then. See you later.
Cheers, Steve. Take mate.
Bye.
Thanks everyone for listening. I hope everyone enjoyed that, and I say it will be available on Spotify from tomorrow morning. If anyone has got anything that they can help Steve out with, like he says, car park, anyone who wants to help out or plant or anything like that. I think it was. We all know how hard motocross can be sometimes. So if anyone knows anyone who, lighting, transport, plant and machinery, I'm sure Steve will give you a shout out. So thanks everyone for listening. We've got Gareth Hockey on next week of RHL, who organises the British Championship at the moment, so it'd be good to hear from him. Obviously there was a bit of trouble with the broadcasting last week, shall we say, so I think they've changed broadcasters this week for Ling. So it'd be good to ask him a few questions about that, and then hopefully we'll be back on the AMA with that starting on the end of the month. So again, thanks everyone for joining in. Really sorry I didn't ask too many questions. I sort of got a bit carried away talking myself, so sorry about that, mate, but thanks for the questions, and I'll catch you all next week. Have a good one, peeps.